So welcome to the last Mobility and Access for All Ages and Mobility and Access Coalition meeting for 2022. Sorry I didn't get to see a lot of you at the 10th anniversary celebration, but it's good to see some of you now. We'll go ahead and jump in and get started. Just a reminder that if you accidentally get kicked out of the meeting, that you can join with the phone one tap, and you can join and listen in. You won't necessarily be able to see the presentations, but you can unmute yourself and talk and contribute to the conversation. Just a couple of Zoom features. You can mute yourself or turn on your video here. You can see the other participants by clicking on participants below, and you'll get a list of everybody who's on the call. And you can chat also by clicking on the chat function. At this point, I'd like to encourage everybody to put their name and their organization in the chat. Jessica and I are both on the call today, so we'll be watching the chat function throughout if you have any questions. We are recording this meeting. It does help us when we're going through looking for minutes and just basically being able to identify who said what. So just keep that in mind. Our meeting format, we meet the second Monday of the month from 2 to 3:45. We will have a discussion at the end of the meeting about 2023 meetings. Some people have expressed a desire to do occasional in-person meetings, perhaps once a quarter or something like that. So I want to make sure that we are getting the pulse of everybody. The rationale that people have mentioned is that it might make it easier for brainstorming sessions or just getting to see each other in person and network. Again, the Mobility and Access Coalition really is about transportation equity. The foundation of what we do is transportation access, means access to opportunity, improved quality of life, and it helps people meet their basic needs. And we really do try to ensure that people can be safe or thriving with their multimodal transportation options. We have a pretty good agenda today. Most of it's going to be dedicated to planning for next year. So we'll be doing some breakout sessions towards the end, but we do have quite a few updates that we will get. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Jessica for the 10th anniversary celebration update.
Yeah, thanks, Angel. Well, if you didn't know, I'm sure a lot of you knew about this because we saw a lot of you in person at the 10th year anniversary. We were very happy to celebrate with some of you on November 3rd. We had about 75 attendees at the JCC, so it was a very good turnaround. We were happy to have our commissioner there, Bartolocci. We also had the lunch catered by Community Table Kitchen, and we presented awards to our drivers and our transportation professionals. And we also presented the video that I'm going to share with you in case you haven't seen it yet. This video, we were able to translate it also or have subtitles to in Spanish as well for people to see. So in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to share my screen and share it with you. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
We can see it.
Hopefully the sound works. So let's go.
Hi, welcome aboard.
I started working for VIA 7 years ago.
I've driven for Ride Free Lafayette since it began. It's a little over 2 years.
So I've been driving for the Ride Free Lafayette for 2.5 years.
Did I have your bags in today?
I've been doing this for about 5 years.
I've been volunteering for Cultivate for about 3 years.
I've been here for 13 years. And every day is a new adventure. Public transportation is a necessity, and that people really need this, and that it benefits school kids and benefits seniors, everybody.
I love the people, helping the people, getting them from point A to point B, because people can't afford cars, insurance, gas. It's expensive.
First thing they always say is, "Oh, I bless you every day. I don't know what I would do if you guys weren't here." For the community, Ride Free has really helped a lot of people who cannot drive get to where they need to go.
The best qualities in a bus driver is patience and compassion.
What I love most about my job is the people, giving them the ride and it being memorable while they're on there.
Servir. Creo que la palabra y el agradecimiento creo que también es algo muy importante. Estoy agradecido con todos mis clientes por siempre las palabras que me dicen cuando llego por ellos. Me gusta ayudar. Y una parte que estoy muy agradecido de estar en este país.
I take these 13 very mature people over to the Lafayette Theater once a month. And it's just like, you couldn't do anything better for them. And they're just like crazy happy.
VIA seemed like a perfect opportunity, and they were just starting the volunteer program at that point.
After I retired from working, I was looking for opportunities to volunteer because I knew that was something I was going to do. I'll get you warmed up here in just a minute, okay? And so when I ran across Cultivate on the internet, I said, whoa, that's for me. It's a lot of satisfaction. If a person is looking for something, you know, I like to drive and I like to talk, I guess. I've been told that.
You get back, after you've lived for a bunch of decades and you've taken and taken and taken, you know, from what the community has to offer, it's a really nice thing to be able to turn right around and say, here's my time.
Breaking down those barriers of access of transportation to school is an important part of what we do with the Safe Routes to School team.
Good morning. Porque pues yo llevo aquí 14, 15 años y en esos 15 años he visto niños de kindergarten y del preescolar hasta llegar a la escuela secundaria. Entonces, ver esos cambios en los niños me gusta.
You really do connect with kids every day and families and really feel like you're getting them to school, which is critical. If they can't get there, they can't learn. Recently, I had a little girl, she was a preschooler. She was getting off the bus and she said, "What color are your fairy wings?" We have many families who are extremely thankful to have the school bus, but there are other families that they need some other options, and so being able to educate them on, hey, here's a good walking route. You know, when you ride your bicycle, maybe you don't want to take the route you would take with the car. There's probably a safer route. Let's look at this map.
It is amazing that I can come to work for a company that provides mobility for life.
What I love most about my job is I really feel I'm giving back every day. When I'm out being a crossing guard, they're so polite and so appreciative, and it's just fun to interact with them, and you kind of get to know them, and hey, how's your day?
Tell the people individually, have a good day. Thank them for coming and riding.
Very nice people work for this organization. But I'm very, very proud to be here.
They really appreciate it, and it's really rewarding getting to hear those stories and hear how much we're impacting other people.
Yay. Okay. Yeah, so we were very, very happy that we were able to interview so many people. And we actually had a press release. I don't know if you had access to it, but I'm going to share it here in the chat. So in this press release, you'll find a link to the video. The video is already posted in our YouTube channel, which I'm going to also link here. So yeah, please help us spread the word. We have pictures there with the drivers and all the pictures of the event too in the press release. And we were just very happy. Obviously, everybody missed Angel, and it was so unfortunate that you had to have COVID that day. the celebration, I think, was very memorable, and we were just happy to have a good turnaround and a big celebration for mobility drivers. So thank you. Yeah, I think I'm going to pass it over again to Angel. Thanks, Angel.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Yeah, I missed seeing everybody in person, but it was wonderful. And I just want to thank Jessica for doing such an amazing job, not only like helping take the lead planning the event, but also leading it the day of. And then Cami, I know that you were on the call. I don't see on here right now, but Cami really stepped up to, I see you, sorry. Also to do some of the speaking parts. And then also Commissioner Lochimin, thank you for doing the opening remarks. I think that just your presence and like your dedication to the effort of the MAC really spoke volumes. So thank you so much. Thanks, Cami. Thanks, Jessica. And if anybody has any comments or questions on the event.
I might just jump in for a comment.
Yeah, please.
Are you able to hear me? Okay. Okay, thanks. I was having audio issues earlier. And when I started this, good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to say, Angel, to you that you did such an amazing organization with your team. And so it was so disappointing for you not to be able to be there in person. And I want to acknowledge you because we didn't get to do that with you in person at the event. But it was just a really great opportunity. And also for me personally, just to meet folks that were in the room as well that I hadn't met in person who are doing great work. And so I just want to send out kudos and appreciation to everybody who's involved.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was sad. I was really sad to like get COVID right before the big event. Brandon?
Yeah, I agree with the commissioner. It was a really fun event and the food was delicious and the atmosphere was really lively, and it was just very fun to watch the video and just recognize the mobility heroes. That was the most exciting part, just talking to the operators and hearing their experiences was really rewarding to me. So I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, thank you. I heard that RTD had a pretty good presence. Y'all had a table, right? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, we hung out with Boulder County Public Health. It was really fun.
Oh, good. Great. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was a great way to just kind of like mark the 10 years. You all have been showing up for 10 years on and off and really been dedicating time and energy to improving mobility throughout the county. If you haven't had a chance to look through the pictures that were included in the press release, please do so. Eric Panzer from Community Services, you all probably know him, but he was the photographer and he did a great job. So you can look through those pictures. And I felt like I was almost there by looking through the pictures and then watching the live stream that Jessica was able to set up. So thank you. We don't have any other comments or questions.
Oh, I think, sorry, Angel. I think Zoe was talking about asking about the landing page for the Mobility Heroes, but I think we're still working on it, right?
Yeah, so currently the landing page at the end directs to the MAC website. What we're going to do is we're going to have a Mobility Heroes webpage that links to all of your job postings. So we'll have the video at the top and just kind of a blurb about the importance of being a driver or a transportation safety professional, and then link to our community partners' open positions. Also, in general, we were able to kind of splice the interviews that we had for that video in a way to where we can have short social media posts. So we do intend to share like each of the drivers has their own little like 30-second social media posts that we'll be sharing online. But we still have some work to do. I think in January we'll have that landing page up that really focuses on the importance of driver recruitment and retention. And just to note, that was like one of the big focus areas of the Mobility and Access for All Ages and Abilities plan. We recognize that we have to address that issue before we can make progress in other areas. So I don't know if you have any other questions, Zoe. Great, thanks. And we'll definitely be brainstorming other ways of addressing the driver shortage, nationwide driver shortage. Can you all see the PowerPoint presentation again?
Yep, we can.
Okay, great. So the next item that we have is Brandon. He's gonna, on short notice, he's gonna do a good job of like providing us an overview of the FAIR study and equity analysis. And just so you all know, I'm on the equity panel for this study, and then Alex Hyde-Wright is on the local government panel for this study. And then there's also a third panel that is for like past programs, I believe. And I think that CU Boulder is on that, and perhaps maybe somebody from the city of Boulder as well. But I'll turn it over to you, Brandon. Do you have slides that you want to share, or do you?
Nope, no slides, just kind of a brief overview. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to share. So as you may know, we have just wrapped up our third set of public engagement meetings. They were held over the fall and were conducted in English and Spanish. And we've done several feedback panels, as Angel just mentioned. And all of those were focused on getting information and feedback on two fare alternatives. Alternative A essentially kept the current fare structure of local, regional, and airport fares and reduced the cost of all of those. And the alternative B combined the local and the regional route into one fare, and in terms of simplicity. And so now we're taking all of the feedback that we've heard from the public on and our community partners on what they liked about each fare alternative, and are working to craft a final proposal that will go to the board in 2023. We're hoping to have a final draft recommendation in February based on all the input that we've received. And then in March is when that plan would go out to the public to get public comment and things like that, with final board review and board action slated for June of 2023. And yeah, that's all I've got. But thank you so much for all of your interest in the FAIR study, and for those of you who have attended meetings and submitted comments. We really appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandon. I will just provide a couple of highlights that were in the meeting that we had. And again, these are not finalized, so we don't know for sure if this is going to go forward. In general, on the equity panel, we did support option B, which basically simplified the fare. And I'll pull up the fare alternatives here. So this is alternative A. You probably can't see it very well, but basically it has slightly lower fares than the current. The red one is the current fare, but it still does maintain that local versus regional. And then I will go ahead and show you all the alternative B, which really does simplify the fares to where it would be $3 for local and regional, and then $6 for local and regional. So you no longer have those two different options of local and regional. One of the reasons why I personally supported alternative B was because here in Boulder County, we do have a lot of regional trips that aren't like Longmont to Boulder is regional. So a lot of lower income folks are doing those inter-city travel trips, which are considered to be regional currently, but they would benefit from a lower fare. Additionally, some other things to look forward to is it looks like they are potentially going to simplify RTD Live. So they're looking at possibly raising the discount up to 50% like the other discounts. That's not set in stone yet. And then they're also looking for partnership opportunities potentially with RTD Live for getting people signed up through community-based organizations like Sister Carmen or EFA. So there's a couple of really interesting things on the horizon. They're also looking at the possibility of having youth fare free. I know that that comes with a pretty big price tag. So definitely expect some more discussion on that as February comes around with their finalized recommendations. I would like the MAC to be able to submit a letter of support or a letter to the board of directors once we get some finalized understanding of what RTD is going to be pursuing. Does anybody have any questions on the FAIR study at this point? Brendan, I hope I represented everything.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, just stay tuned. There's some exciting stuff happening. So when we do get the next draft out into the public, please review it and add your feedback and submit comments. So that way we can make sure that the final product going to the board is reflective of the community.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for really engaging with community-based organizations in advancing this study. Okay, and the next topic, unless you have any questions for Brandon, is the 228 reconfiguration. And I will go ahead and pull up the full reconfiguration map for Natalie to be able to talk through what is proposed for January. Natalie, I'll turn it over to you.
There you go. Hi, glad to be here. Let's see. Okay. All right. You can't see quite the full map, but just for clarification, and I'm not sure if everybody is aware or not, with the system optimization plan, it was decided that the portion that you see on the southern end there between US 36 and Flatiron and US 36 and Broomfield and the dashed lines, that will be discontinued. And that should be officially in the January 2023 service change. We will be working with Broomfield to figure out how to address that loss of service, so to say. We've had some conversations with them already in regard to potential increase in flex ride, so forth. So the route 228 will change in that it will start its operations on the south end at US 36 and Flatiron Station. Then it will operate the way it has been through Rock Creek up onto McCaslin, and it will make that small deviation into the new downtown Superior area. And just so you know, I know it seems almost silly to just go through the traffic circle, but we worked with the town and the developer for 6 months, tried every single potential routing variation we could think of to get further into the development, but unfortunately the width of the streets and the turning radii and some of the layout as it came to curbs and gutter, so forth, did not allow us to do a better, well, I shouldn't say better, a more extensive routing into that area, but it's unfortunate. But then yes, it'll continue on to McCaslin via Appia as it has been, come up on South Boulder Road. And so just a heads up also on this, currently, you know, that it does that little deviation onto Cottonwood Drive, which is right outside my house here. I get to see it come by at 34 after the hour every time. And then it comes up Garfield and goes onto South Boulder Road. The city of Louisville made improvements to the intersection of Garfield and South Boulder Road that will allow us to actually place a stop now far side of Garfield on South Boulder in the eastbound direction. So we'll no longer have to make the deviation along Cottonwood, and the stop that is currently at Garfield and South Boulder will in May be pulled, and then there will be a new stop at South Boulder far side of Garfield. So we will have matching stop. There is another one in the westbound direction of South Boulder already, but we weren't able to do that previously because of the right-hand turns that exist in the street. And when the city made the change with the ADA improvements and the signal replacement and so forth, they widened the sidewalk, and now we're able to place the stop. So I'm excited for that. Then it'll continue on to Highway 42 as it has been, and it'll split at Baseline. In the AM and PM peaks, it will continue up to Highway 42 and Arapahoe and make a loop around that little shopping area there, Forest Park Drive, North Park Drive. And its terminal is actually right there, Forest Park Circle, right south of Arapahoe. It's just as it comes around from Arapahoe onto Forest Park Drive, it will stop right there as a terminal. So in the AM and PM only, unfortunately, at this point. We will have stops. There's one that is on Arapahoe already, just far side of Highway 42 eastbound, and then there will be the terminal at Forest Park. We're looking to have one at North Park Drive in front of what is the Montessori School. And then there will be stops at Baseline and Highway 42. Now the other routing is midday only, weekdays, and then Saturday and Sunday. We'll be going to the Diamond Circle Aspen Bridge, which is by Sister Carmen, Walmart, and all of that shopping and other employment. And that was one of the major destinations that people had asked for within Louisville community, as well as the Lafayette community, to get to that area, especially Sister Carmen. So that'll operate hourly, weekdays, midday, and then also Saturdays and Sundays. Now we have one minor wrinkle, and we're working on some public outreach in that regard. And Brandon, if you want to jump in, because we just met a little bit earlier today, where unfortunately we were not able to get a contractor in time to build this new stop southbound at Highway 42 and Hecla. Currently, as you know, the route comes down Pascal and then through the neighborhood and along Hecla, and the terminal is there at Hecla and Calyx within the Kestrel development. Well, with this new routing, it would stay on Highway 42, and there would be a stop at Highway 42 and Hecla, just south of Hecla. But we weren't able to get a contractor. We've been trying for over 6 months to get a contractor on board. We finally were able to get a contractor that is willing to amend another contract to add this stop, as they're working on several other locations here in this area, to their bid. But now we have to work it through the system again, and they won't be able to go out there probably before February to actually put the stop in the ground. Now, all fingers crossed, weather and so forth and everything else going smoothly within RTD. We're hoping that we can have it in the ground by March. But worst case scenario, we will have it in the ground for the beginning of the May 2023 run board. That means we have to go on detour. So for the January 23 run board, on the southbound trips, all southbound trips, the routing will still come down Pascal and through the development to that neighborhood along Hecla, and use the current terminal stop as a temporary stop, then come back out on Hecla and back southbound on 42 in the usual routing. So, and Brandon and his team is going to work on some outreach for us, some communication, make sure that everybody gets that information, that nobody is surprised. Everybody's well aware of what we're trying to do and why we're doing it. And Brandon, if you want to jump in, I don't know if you have any additional information in that regard.
No, I will just say that in our communication, we're coming up with some talking points to just educate our customers on why this change is happening and why there is a delay. But from an advocacy standpoint, if you all can spread with your, share with your networks the benefits of having it run through Kestrel for this time being, is you're going to have a direct line to the shopping center. So once you've picked up your groceries from Sister Carmen or Walmart, you're right at the stop. You won't have to walk several blocks to get there. If we had removed that stop, well, then you're going to be walking a really long distance. And the other benefit is because it's no longer a terminal spot, the buses are not going to be idling there. So we're trying to promote it and say this is just temporary, but it's a good temporary while we get the final stop at Hecla and 42nd fixed.
Yeah.
Or
Thanks,
built
Brandon.
rather.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to make sure that we're all like using the same talking points when we're talking to Kestrel residents in general. But I think that that's a good compromise in the meantime. And then the access to Sister Carmen and Walmart will probably be well received.
Yeah, and
Right,
Angel,
we'll make
once we
sure.
get it. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Nabi.
No.
I'll just
We'll
say
make sure-
once we get the talking points up, I'll send them over to Angel so you're aware.
Great, thank you.
Now we'll get an email out to you and several other folks as well. So again, everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. Okay.
So, if there are any questions, let us know. Appreciate
I
it.
just I just want to thank you for doing the compromise with peak hours going up to Arapahoe and non-peak hours going to Baseline, because I know that those were two kind of competing interests, and I'm glad to see that Sister Carmen and the food pantry was still included in it, despite the need for like commuting transportation needs and connections to the jump. So just thank you for working on that compromise.
Yeah, and our goal is that as soon as we get the resources to up the frequency to half hour, so that we can have hourly service to both destinations.
Okay.
So fingers crossed, soon if we have the operators, we will add those in.
Great, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions about the 228 reconfiguration that will go into effect in January? Okay. Doesn't look like anybody's raised their hands. Jessica, is there anything in the chat?
I don't see anything in the chat just yet.
Okay.
Tammy says, thank you, RTV.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Looking forward to connecting on this and getting better access at Castrol. So thank you. Okay. So we'll move on to our next topic. And I don't know, Katrina, were you, I think Katrina had to hop off. So
I'm still here.
You're still here. So I'll give you the first right of refusal to talk about this. So you can talk about whatever you want and then I can add whatever.
Oh, what are you going to say?
Well, whatever you don't say.
I just want to say, and Betty's not on here because she worked a mountain rides booth all weekend at the Holiday Mountain Market. So she took the day off, which I'm happy she did. I'm not sure anybody's actually ridden the ride, but we have a couple people who've made reservations. People are really excited about it. And I have to say, Betty is doing an amazing job of getting out there with the driver. Our driver is amazing to talk about the service. She did a meet and greet at a coffee shop, Betty did, and put together a schedule, and she answers the phone all the time with people with their questions. And we're going to be making some little adjustments. Just one kind of something that we're seeing is we have a lot more interest from people in Ward to come to Nutterland than we have from Nutterland anywhere else. So we may adjust some of our schedules to start in Ward and bring people to Nutterland to shop, or maybe the people in Ward who we know are a little, there's a handful of people who without cars and transportation. So I'm very excited. It's fun because Jane, when she doesn't have anybody up here, she just drives around and she visited all of the fixed stops, and people have seen it, and are asking, oh, that's what that is. So it's great. I am cautiously optimistic, probably more optimistic than cautiously, but that's where I'm at. So again, couldn't do it without Mobility for All and VIA, and I hope that we can make this a long-term thing. So
yeah, great, thank you, Katrina. So just to kind of give a little bit of context, so Betty, she is the new Mountain Mobility Coordinator. So we're using 5310 funds to pay for her position. So it's a pass-through. We get the grant from CDOT, VIA and Mobility for All do a joint grant application, and then we subcontract with Nutterland Food Pantry to fund Betty's position. And then also, as far as the funding for the mountain ride service itself, VIA was able to secure some rural transportation dollars, 5311 is what it's called, rural 5311. And then Mobility for All this year's providing $20,000 local match. And then I think also the Peak to Peak Housing and Human Services Alliance is contributing local match for next year as well. So just kind of the sausage making part of it, the back end, like melding of funds. We're really trying to leverage all of the partnership funding. And it is going to be a combination of like a hybrid fixed route and scheduled appointments. So some people can be, they could go down to Boulder to go shopping at King Soopers, but it sounds like Ward is where people are trying to travel from. Additionally, I think coordination with Gilpin County is really going to be big once we get up and running a little bit more. Did I miss anything, Katrina? Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it. The Gilpin part of it is a lot of Rollinsville folks, again, who don't have transportation but come to Nederland. And starting in Nederland may have been the wrong way to go. We probably should just maybe started out and worked in, but we'll figure it out. And then also, now that she's got stuff up and running, she's starting to talk about the volunteer driver program and how that will help connect the VIA program. So
great.
Yeah. I think that's about it, but it's moving along.
Great. And I did meet somebody last week that's definitely interested. They're on the Boulder County side of Coal Creek. So they're definitely, they want their low vision, and they were excited to hear about the service because they can't drive themselves. So
great.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions about the mountain rides?
I think in the chat, just Zoe says that she's excited about the mountain rides. And Cami says congratulations for this collaborative service.
Great, thank you. And we'll get Betty, I forgot that she wasn't on the distribution list, so we'll get Betty to introduce herself next, maybe next month. So you get to meet her, put a face to a name. And we're going to be doing a press release from the county standpoint and posting on Nextdoor as well, Katrina. So that'll still be to come this month. Thank you very much.
I think Zoe had a comment in the chat. Do you want me to read it, Zoe, or do you want to say a little bit more about it?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just wanted to suggest that VIA's volunteer coordinator, Michael Woodard, might be able to support any sort of volunteer program for the rides. And I just left his email address in the chat there. So I just hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll talk about the volunteer driver program a little bit when we're talking about funding. I think it might be the next slide. I'll go ahead and move forward. Yep. Yeah. Is there any other questions before we get to the funding aspect?
Yeah. Please go.
Oh, okay. This is Penn with Audio Information Network of Colorado. With the mountain rides, do you have some sort of document or something that we can read over our broadcast as a PSA?
Yeah, we can. So I will, I think that the document that I have right here on this slide is actually a PNG, but I'll look for a PDF that we can send to you all, Penn. And
that would be great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
And I'll definitely send you the press release once the county sends it out.
Wonderful. That'd be great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other comments or questions on the mountain rides before we move on? Okay. Great. I just want to thank Katrina for being on it, moving this forward, and then Zoe also. So it was initially Zoe was the one who really found the funding on the VIA side last year, and unfortunately we weren't able to launch the service sooner due to just not having a driver in the mountains. But we're really excited that we finally have a driver and they're trained, and we're being able to operate everything this starting November, right? Great. So the next update I have is basically on DRCOG funding. So there's more TIP applications, but there's two that I think are going to be of interest to the MAC. So I'll go ahead and take the TIP. So just so you all know, the transportation improvement projects, DRCOG, they do a call for projects every 4 years for this. And we are applying for what we're calling a Superflex. So the Superflex would connect the RTD Flex Ride service in Superior and Louisville, and it would also connect with the Ride Free Lafayette service and Erie, which currently does not have services right now. And so basically we're applying for a coordination vehicle that would use the same software that RTD uses for their Flex ride. So it would help us deal with some of the software issues that we've been having with Ride Free Lafayette. And we would coordinate service with a potential grant application that Erie's applying for to add a local vehicle to the Erie service area. So we still have a lot to do on this, but the grant application is due at the end of January. And we're working collaboratively with all the municipalities to get this grant application in. We're going to go to the county commissioners on, I believe, January 3rd to ask for permission to apply for the TIP grants. But I'm just really excited to be able to address some of that, the connectivity issues in Southeast Boulder County. As we know, Sister Carmen has been a destination that a lot of people can't get to for the food pantry without like more direct service. So I think the 228 will help address this. And then we'll also coordinate this new Superflex with the 228 and then the on-demand services. So does anybody have any questions about the Superflex before I turn it over to Jessica for the human services transportation set aside?
I don't see anything in the chat either.
Okay. So we will be coming to the MAC members for letters of support for the grant application. So just keep that in mind that we'll be sending out a template for you all to be able to either support or not support. Okay. If you don't have any questions on the Superflex, I'll turn it over to Jessica for the Human Services Transportation Set Aside application.
Yeah, thanks, Angel. Going back to the mountains, we are also applying for a volunteer mountain driver program. And we know that there's a lot of silos and needs that these populations need when it comes to their mobility and accessibility. So this program will help increase the amount of affordable, accessible, and equitable options for transportation for mountain residents. And we propose to establish and operate a volunteer mountain driver reimbursement program as a safety net that's door-to-door, assisted transportation service for seniors, people with disabilities, low-income individuals who cannot use a fixed route for some of or all of their trips. So yeah, we've been working in partnership with the Peak Ride Planning Group, Peak to Peak Housing and Human Services, and the Housing and Human Services Commission of the Town of Lyons. And I think we also are going to be requesting letters of support for this specific application, which I believe is due January 9th. So yeah, I don't know, by when do we need the letters, Angel?
We'll need the letters before, like probably January 7th, probably. We don't have to have them like too far in advance, I don't think, but we will send out the templates probably next week to ask for support for it. I think we're gonna send it through the Peak to Peak Housing and Human Services Alliance, Katrina. So I know we're not meeting this month, but the plan was to kind of ask people there at that meeting. And I see in the chat, Sue is asking if the DRCOG program is open to nonprofits to apply. Yes, it is. It's the funding source that we use to fund the Ride Free Lafayette service. I don't know if you didn't attend the webinars, if you're able to still apply. I don't know, Matthew Helfand's on the call. Do you want to address that? If is it still an option for nonprofits to apply if they didn't attend the NOFA webinar?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that was mandatory training workshop, but you should contact Travis Noon, tnoon at drcog.org just to confirm. He's the one who's administering the grant.
Did that answer your question, Sue?
Sort of. What's the name of the program, just so I can look it up?
It's HST set aside, so Human Services Transportation. And I'll find it and send it or put it in the chat also.
Okay,
But
thank you so much.
Travis T. Noon, I just put Travis's contact information in the chat.
Great, thank you, Angel.
Yeah, no problem. Kimmy?
Yeah, I just have a couple other funding updates, but I can save them for later if there's a better time.
Nope, this is a good time.
Okay, oh, sorry, my video has been, here we go. Just so folks know too, BVSD, as a way to address one of the mobility MAA plan strategic objectives is around better data that we've been missing. And so BVSD has applied for CDOT Office of Innovative Technology, Mobility Technology Grant to formally start building a system to collect mode share data for all students and staff in the district, which is very exciting. There's never been a way to do that before in either of our local school districts. So we provided a letter of support and a number of other community partners have. So we'll wish them luck on their grant as a way to address the MAA plan. And then I'm also doing a TIP application to do a Vision Zero Safe Routes to School grant, where we can prioritize all local schools in both school districts based on their mobility needs and really looking at high crash data zones. And part of that process will be develop a standardized tool to look at school transportation safety assessments. So any municipal partner, any school district partner will have a standardized tool across the county region, which is another way we're trying to address the MAA plan. So a number of great potential funding sources coming into the county to advance our strategic plans.
Great, thanks, Kimmy. And definitely provide an update once we find out if those will be funded, and probably have, you'll probably have a stakeholder working group, I'm assuming, Kimmy, for those. So probably announce the opportunity to get involved once those are decided. Okay. So at this point, we'll do organizational updates. So I see there's a few different organizations on the call. I'll start calling on people if anybody doesn't speak up. So are there any advancements on your projects that you're working on at the Our Center, City of Boulder, Dr. Mack, Area Agency on Aging, BTC? Any updates you want to share? I see Stephanie turned on her camera.
Yeah, I can share for Dr. Mack. Our main project that we're working on right now is updating and expanding our travel training program. So we've done that, and we'll be offering our new travel training sessions in January virtually, and then working on getting those available in person as well. So keep an eye out on our newsletter and our website for when that's available.
Great. Thank you. I see Elaine also turned on her camera. The BTC updates?
Yeah, thanks. So we just had our final Connect Boulder meeting for the year. We are planning on stuff for the coming year. There's actually a few of you on the call today I'll probably be reaching out to about some of that. But, you know, anytime people have material they want to be getting out, especially say to the local business community, feel free to put in and ask about that. And then we'll also be doing a series of events next year at Boulder Junction, including the first would be on Winter Bike to Work Day, kind of a bike home station. So we're wanting these to be outreach for partners in transportation, and it's just an opportunity to, you know, a lot of it is the focus on the benefits residents and businesses in that area get, but letting people know just that range of options. So I guess those are the kind of big things on our front, not to mention any business who hasn't paid attention on eco price passes. They're really good for the coming year. So we're trying to do some outreach to make sure, you know, there was kind of a drop certainly in how many people had the eco passes this past year, and we're hoping to see that tick back up in the coming year.
Yeah. Does BTC also assist businesses in understanding the new tax subsidies for offering transportation benefits?
Absolutely. That's going to be a big thing. And if anybody needs this, we just finally got a flyer from DRCOG that kind of helps lay out what that is, which obviously a lot of us here with so many nonprofits, it might not be as big a deal, but for businesses submitting, tax claims to this state, it's a 50% deduction for what you're spending on those transit benefits. So that's really pretty substantial, things like that, what you spend on EcoPass, but it's also been made to do some other transportation benefits. And actually, I should mention, we have one other exciting program that, we'll see how far this goes, because it's looking a little like this could get kind of swept up very quickly. We have another grant through DRCOG to help in establishing some van pools for local businesses and help sort of support the cost of doing that, because there are some people, my favorite visualization is if you live in Longmont, but you're working in East Boulder, transit's just not, it never feels like a reasonable option. The trip is like 3 times as long to use transit. So trying to help people have a wider range of choices. So we'll be able to do some benefits for that, but also I think we'll have a few transit passes available and the emphasis on that grant will be lower income and essential workers. So
great. And what kind of transit benefits are you looking to provide, like van pool or?
Well, that's the main focus on that, is trying to establish some more van pools coming into Boulder, and then for a few where it's like that's not going to work, we may have some transit passes available. So as I say, reach out. My colleague Emily's been working a little more on that, and we're getting our materials together because that one just finally got finalized. So getting the ball just rolling now on that.
That's great. And if you could provide a list of the events at Boulder Junction in advance, like maybe we could share it with VIA and all of the other community partners.
Yeah, we have another forum too that we'll be sharing that within our some partner meetings that we've had. So VIA is definitely on it, but I can see, especially there'll be a couple where I think you at Mobility for All might be really helpful to have on board.
Okay, great. Thank you, Elaine, for everything. And thanks for doing the presentations of awards during the ceremony.
That was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, how about, I see Corey. He's already jumping in because he knew I was going to call on him next. No.
I just knew.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. A couple updates, or I guess quite a few updates from up in the North Front Range. We are nearing completion of our regional trip planning and discovery tool that will include human service and volunteer transit providers, in addition to public transit and bike share by the end of the year. Kind of on the next phase of Ride NoCo, we'll be kind of launching a project to adopt something called transactional data specifications, which are a really fancy way of saying the language that different like software scheduling platforms use among our a couple of volunteer transportation providers in Larimer and Weld County. So we'll be working with those vendors to kind of create the language to allow them to communicate seamlessly with one another, which at the initial use case will be our Ride NoCo call center being able to do some initial intake and eligibility and seamlessly send that information over to volunteer providers. But in the long term, it should allow kind of cross-jurisdictional and cross-county trips, because it will make it easier for those systems and providers to communicate with each other. And then kind of last big mobility update is at our October joint meeting of the Larimer County and Weld County mobility committees. Members voted to meet together as one mobility committee 4 times in 2023 rather than 2, and taking a new name of the Northern Colorado Mobility Committee. So we're really looking forward to the greater coordination and collaboration across county lines up here in Northern Colorado. And then Elaine's update reminded me that the MPO recently completed and adopted its TDM action plan. And we did submit applications to the Office of Innovative Mobility to launch a TMO along the US 34 corridor, approximately linking Greeley to Estes Park. We have a lot of conversations about how easy it is with the busing service to get up to Estes Park for Metro Denver, and we'd like to be able to replicate that and give some more options to get folks, not just visitors, but also commuters into Estes Valley. So looking forward to seeing how all that plays out over the coming months.
Great. You all are always doing such amazing work up there. So thanks for being a great partner.
Thank you. Likewise to you all.
Yeah, thanks. So does car share, oh, see, Joni, do you want to?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, great. Yes, hi, this is Joni with the Our Center in Longmont. And first of all, just wanted to thank you, Angel, for advocating with the RTD fare study for the cheaper or more affordable regional fares. That's great because, yes, we have free transportation, RTD transportation within the city limits, but it's very difficult if somebody is on a limited income and they're trying to go back and forth between Longmont and Boulder or down to Louisville, Lafayette for work or appointments or whatever. So thank you for that. Because the Our Center serves the entire St. Vrain Valley School District, we're just looking forward to learning more about the rollout of the volunteer driver program in the sense that it might be what can help the people in Allens Park the most.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a possible solution. So that's it. We're just looking forward to that and working with you all through the Mountain Mobility Group or whatever, and however we can help with that effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Joni. How about AAA? Lindsay, do you have any updates? I know you all have been busy with your community conversations.
Yes, we have. Thanks, Angel. So we've mostly completed our community conversations. We have one left that I'd like to get done before the analysis starts. We are interviewing companies at the end of this week to see who can complete the analysis for us. We do have the results of our community assessment survey for older adults, known as our CASOA, at the county and municipal level now, but we are working through those results to see, if there's been changes before we really kind of release that out into the public. We'll use the CASOA information alongside the analysis of our community conversations, alongside our internal data and secondary data to report kind of a state of aging in Boulder County in the coming months. Alongside that, we also are completing our area plan for the state. Every area agency on aging has an area plan due by the end of March to the State Unit on Aging. So we are taking part in that as well. So lots of reporting and data digging and all of that good fun happening at the moment.
Great, sounds great. Are there any other updates anybody wants to do before we move into the 2023 topics discussion? Sue, did you have an update for community cycles?
Sure, I'll add that we had our kids bike giveaway. We have it two weekends now. We had last weekend and this coming weekend. We gave out, I think at the number last weekend, maybe 165 bikes, 220 helmets. And we'll give away that or more next week. And the exciting thing is we had a few people take home bikes on the bus. So we helped them load their bikes on the bus. Kids' bikes don't fit so great. Some of them do, some of them don't. So one kid got their bike on the bus, but then another family, they had to take them inside the bus because they're too small. But that was exciting to see people utilizing RTD for this project. So that's it. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Sue. Jeff, I see your hands up.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Angel, and thank you, everybody. I would just wanted to encourage everybody to sign up to boco.org/ 287 News, because we are moving forward with Vision Zero Safety and Mobility Study on 287 from north of Longmont to Broomfield. And we will have public engagements throughout the next year. And so if you'd like to stay involved, please go to boco.org/287 news.
Great. And you can put that in the chat. That would be great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are going to do some breakout room discussions. I know we have about 15 people, so I will do 4 different rooms. So for next year, we're talking about doing themes each month. So these themes would include panel discussions for the MAC, and then they would also include topics for our social media posts, topics for our newsletters. So the topics or the themes that we've been talking about have been access to, is what we're calling it. So it would be access to employment and community engage or community services or something like that. So we are going to have a Google Doc that Jessica has pulled together. And in your small groups, Jessica, I don't know if you want to show them the spreadsheet that we'll be using.
Yeah, I can share that.
So we're going to be doing it in the way that we normally do. We have one person in each group that will take notes as the other people kind of talk about what we can do. Okay.
Oh, by the way, I had already started some of the groups, Angel.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, so should I share the Excel file?
Or just show them the Google document and how each group would be filling it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So I shared it in the chat and I'm going to share my screen with you. So we have 5 groups, I think, 3 and 2 people. Unless you wanted more people in each group, Angel. But we're going to give you one theme, and then, for example, active living. So group 1 is going to think about what are some good MAC panel ideas to talk about active living, walking, going outdoors. What kind of newsletter recommendations, what kind of social media ideas, what resources should we promote? Biking, walking, going outdoors. What modes should we feature? And if we have a story, like a multimodal day as a story. And as you fill out this table, remember to keep in mind that we're targeting all these different audiences: youth, individuals with disability, older adults, Spanish speakers, low income, veteran, bus drivers, etc. So try to just keep in mind that it's like a very inclusive exercise. Anything else, Angel?
I think that's good. You'll know the number of your group when and just put your names at the top for the breakout group number 1, and you'll just write your names up there. I think we're good, unless anybody has any questions.
We'll give you the themes, right?
Yeah.
Or no? Okay.
Yeah. So the themes that, let me go ahead and put them in there. I'll just copy, actually I can't access it. So group 1 will have, why don't we go ahead and just type in the theme name in each of the titles or below it. So group 1 will have what theme, and then group 2 will have what theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can type them. And in the meantime, I'll send you to your breakout rooms. How much time do we want to?
We'll do it for 15 minutes, and then we'll have you all brief back to us like what you've talked about.
All right. Good. All right. I'm going to open the rooms, and we'll add the themes at the top of the Word document in a little bit. See you soon.
Thanks.
Okay, so the first one was active living, right, Angel?
I don't think we have to go in necessarily order, just,
Oh,
oops,
okay.
yeah,
Which one should I do first? Just
whichever
for-
one. Maybe access to, sorry, I can't access it. Otherwise I would like help out, but just one topic per group, whatever one you want to do.
I think I'm just gonna go through the list as we were. Oh, because we said that it would be, oh, hi.
Hi.
I thought I closed all of them. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit.
Okay. I was like, did I
How are you, Cami?
Ladies, I'm tired. I'm good. Sue and I were just talking about how we want, or I was saying how want to be a weekend after the weekend. That would be perfect.
Do you have a busy weekend?
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Sue and Cami for group 5 for their healthcare and well-being brainstorm.
Sure, I'll start and then Sue, go ahead and add in. This was a big topic and it was hard, like, oh, there's so many ideas. I'm sure all of the themes are big themes. I'm sure the other teams may have felt that too, but one of the things that we were talking about, one of the first places we went to was kind of the idea around sharing how our local transit services, like the Ride Free as an example, this is under the Mobility Day as a story, might be able to share stories or examples of how people with all of our different priority groups might use transit service or the Ride Free to access some of like the big healthcare systems, and or we were saying some of those recreational options sort of for the well-being side of things. So not just highlighting kind of treatment or medical options, but some of the other options that exist for well-being. We didn't get too deep into the weeds around newsletter or social media ideas, but kind of figured those can kind of be somewhat the same, or they can build upon each other. Whatever content goes into the newsletter could probably be repeated for easy social media posts. But we thought one of the things that might help the panel idea, which I thought Sue had a great idea on this, was maybe to invite some local experts around giving us updates on Obamacare and the ACA and the current subsidies and the changes, since we don't hear about it as much, but I think the insurance options and what people have access to from preventative care is changing. And so being able to highlight that for our different priority groups, some of the new benefits and subsidies that are available might be a great way to connect, especially since we have a lot of nonprofits in this group, and who might be, if it comes up for their clients, how to connect transit to those new resources that they might be interested in. Let's see, I'm trying to see what else did I miss. I think that was the gist of it before our time ran out. But the last thing was really, we also thought we need to make sure whatever we kind of decide on, that we also have prevention focused content, not just treatment, because I think a lot of times people think healthcare and they think go to the doctor, and it's so much broader than that. So not just treatment, or intervention, but for prevention focused content.
Great, thank you. Sue, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I think Cami did a good job.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So group 4 would be next. Thanks, Cami. Bye if you have to hop off. Group 4 is employment and civic engagement. So I think that Elaine, looks like you unmuted yourself for this one.
Yeah, so we got talking some about how, I don't know, sometimes I feel there's sort of a big disconnect between sort of the business and work and this group and some of the others. So there's not always as much awareness, but like Jessica jumped in and mentioned how van pooling actually might be something worth just hearing and learning a little bit more. So I would recommend Commute with Enterprise and Van Go for both of those details. I sort of got my sentence cut off, but we're creating a flyer about the van pool subsidy that we're doing. So That's what should have finished that sentence. And then, just also in talking with Stephanie with the travel training concept, one thing I've noted is a lot of times businesses aren't really like, oh yeah, we need help with somebody learning how to get the bus. It almost feels like by this point, that stage in life, people feel like I know how to do it, so they don't want to go out on the field trip learning. But maybe if there's just some really super basic videos of this is all you need to know to get on the bus, could just help people kind of over that hump if it is one. And businesses who have questions, feel free to send people our way, because we try to be a resource for many people in different ways. And also just, I'm one of those people that I typically am really multimodal. So I think, us sharing the stories of how it's not like you ever are just doing one thing, because today was a day where I've already teleworked, walked to a bus, taken the bus to town, ridden a B-cycle somewhere else, and it looks like I'm carpooling later on today. So, I love to talk about transportation as a toolkit, not just one thing that we use.
Great. So Elaine can be our new poster child for all the different modes.
Oh, and car share, I use that sometimes too.
Stephanie, did you want to add anything else to the debrief, like from Dr. Mack's perspective?
No, I think Elaine did a great job at covering everything that we talked about. So yeah, I really agree that I fall into the category of like, I'm at the point in my life where I know how to do it and I don't need help. So I think that just like ties in with what we're trying to do with our travel training and just kind of make it more accessible for everyone. So
great. Thank you. So number 3, I forget who was in that group. Was it Aaron? No, it was Penn and Veronica. Y'all want to share what you were talking about?
Sure, Veronica, I can go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we talked about creating more bike racks on buses because I've been on buses myself where the racks on the outside were full. And so then the driver let people bring their bikes inside, and it created a lot of issues for accessibility. And then also just, it was unsafe if the driver hit the brakes or something, the bikes went flying. And Veronica came up with a great idea of having buses that were specifically for bikes. I thought that was a great idea. And then also, let's see, the newsletter ideas. I agree with somebody else mentioned this. It's kind of like the newsletter, social media, blogs. They all kind of go together because you can use them on all the different platforms. But really getting our stakeholders involved and highlighting their stories, but also highlighting organizations that you may or may not think about. Like I know at AINC, and Veronica mentioned even with her group, is that we get our clients calling us about transportation, and sometimes we don't have all the answers. And so it would be nice to get us, like organizations like ours, more involved so that we are giving the correct answers to our clients and people. And then we did talk about resources to promote. The RTD Uber connection has been just an amazing idea, and we would love to see that grow, because I think right now it's only in the Denver metro area. Like I don't think it's up north or in other areas. And that's a great thing. And then Veronica mentioned that Uber may be either, I don't know if it's implemented yet, but it's called Uber Health, where, so if you do take Uber to like a doctor's appointment or a procedure, like a colonoscopy, you actually have to have somebody sign off on that. And a lot of, especially seniors that we work with, when they go to get a procedure, that I guess an Uber driver, they're working on that, or maybe it's been implemented. But those ride shares are really critical for people. And that's as far as we got.
That's great. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Pen.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, thank you, Pen. You did a great job.
Great. So group number 2, I believe that this was Aaron and Jeff, perhaps. Is that you, Aaron and Jeff, number 2?
Yeah, it was us. I guess I can go quickly and then Aaron add anything. On the MAC panel ideas, we weren't entirely sure what this meant, but maybe having like a panel for people to ask questions and come back to, but having community members involved, long range planners, real estate trends for Boulder County, what's going on there, maybe economists and policymakers, real estate developers, and then someone who's experiencing a disability. So it could be someone who's an advocate, separate to, or somebody who is, a real estate developer and experiencing disability. And then for newsletter ideas, I think the best thing here, the best idea was really great that Aaron had, was a letter to the editor sort of section for mobility for all type stuff, a letter to the editor. That might be kind of cool. The rest of it, I think you can read through. And then the social media, we had talked about personal stories, and maybe the videos could, maybe like short video, 60-second clips could be used for that, or there could be like before and after, somebody using a long, it being very difficult for somebody using a mobility aid to get on a bus, and then very easy, like what do we have now, what do we want type of stuff. And then resources to promote short, long range solutions, and then modes, just all of them. Aaron, what did I miss?
I think pretty much covered everything there, Jeff. Just really personal stories to get people engaged in social media. It seems that people are really attracted to personal stories and how a service or lack thereof, affect them in their daily lives in trying to commute around the community. So it seems like people are attracted to that type of method within social media. Besides like a newsletter, I know we get a newsletter every month, and that's great, and I think that should still keep going. But more and more people are getting onto the social media platforms for their own knowledge base and their own entertainment, really. So I don't know. So in kind of having a community member, with a disability, be on a MAC panel, I don't know, throughout the year would be good. Or just a community member that might be an economist, or might be a long range planner, or a policymaker, just to kind of give their ideas of what they see solutions wise, and what they see as upcoming and persistent challenges, within what Boulder County faces transportation wise coming up in the next year, and the next 5, and the next 10. So yeah, I don't know. That's it. I don't really, short range, long-term solutions. I don't really know. We didn't flesh that out really well.
Okay. Well, I think that's good. Great. Thank you. And then Aaron, also congratulations on being selected as a mobility hero. I know you weren't able to attend the event, but thanks for your dedication to mobility for 10 years almost. Or actually, I think you've been here since the beginning for the most part. So
yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so next it's Corey, Joni, and Zoe. I saw that Zoe had to hop off, so I don't know if Joni or Corey want to take the debrief.
I will take it. So similar to some of the other groups, we thought that this was obviously a very broad topic, which both was a challenge, but also I guess a great opportunity to like think outside the box. And kind of some of the key things we talked about were just kind of discussing what active living actually means in terms of mobility, and kind of threw out a couple panel ideas as far as like kind of bringing the complete trip together of having both like recreation staff, transit agencies, maybe human service and B-Cycle, for example, all coming together to kind of talk about how to make it even easier to kind of be multimodal and achieve active living. As far as like newsletter ideas, we're talking about kind of a reminder of the free shuttles that already exist to help folks get to outdoor spaces. And I noted that like Boulder County has way more options than even Larimer County does as far as not needing a car to kind of get into nature. So I think it's a great thing to celebrate. We thought of maybe coming up with like an interactive map of showing what trailheads and trails were accessible by public transit, and maybe even having it be interactive or social media, or could have a couple different use cases. Mentioned doing like some kind of scavenger hunt as far as like trying to put together these kind of multimodal trips, using transit to access a trailhead and then complete a hike. And then we talked about E-Bike of Colorado, which is located in Louisville, and maybe inviting them to have a discussion about how to make accessible e-bikes more affordable, or how to get them better adopted among the community so more folks can go out and ride. And then also mentioned a group called Cycling Without Age, which is international. There's a Greeley chapter, and I believe Loveland is in the process of starting a chapter as well. But what this group does is visit like assisted living facilities and other communities, and takes folks in these like adaptive like trishaws along local trails to try to give folks that maybe wouldn't normally have access to, using a trail, a fun opportunity to go out and explore nature and experience it. Joni, feel free to throw in anything that I may have missed. Zoe was a very good note taker. Oh yeah, and a way to engage the community is like maybe using a website such as Meetup to like have these type of like scavenger hunts and like multimodal exploration events to engage community members and members of the public as well.
Great. That's great. Okay. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much for all of your topics. So we will be working on this throughout the year. Obviously, we only did 5 topics and we're looking at 12 of them. So next year in January, we'll be working a little bit more on integrating the mobility and access for all ages and abilities plan with our charter. So just keep an eye out on that. And we'll also be thinking about different working groups and kind of the structure of the MAC. So if you have recommendations on how to improve the meetings, and I know that like how to basically improve engagement in working groups, then please let us know. But other than that, our next meeting will be on January. Let me share it real quick. It's January 9th. And we look forward to seeing you then. Does anybody have any questions before we hop off? Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great New Year.
You too, Penn.
Thank you.